Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 9 Frames podcast. This is episode 90, and it is Monday, April 8th, 2024. I am Bill Whalen.
And I'm Mike Whalen.
Be sure to catch us, as always, on YouTube at 9 Frames Podcast. Our Spotify is 9 Frames, and our X is at 9 Frames Pod. Please follow us on there, subscribe, like, comment, and share if you enjoy the show.
Yeah, busy weekend of baseball. We got our full slate on Sunday, the Classic. We've been missing that.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of unexpected stories, but we'll get into them.
Yeah, being wrestling fans, it was a big weekend for us. We didn't pay the most attention to baseball, but still some big stories, some really unfortunate stories to talk about as well. We'll get into them and break them down, talk some ball. And we will get right into the baseball of the weekend. The first series I am going to talk about here interested me quite a lot. It was a series of red out there in LA. It was the Angels versus the Red Sox for 3 games, and the Red Sox end up taking 2 out of 3 here. Game 1 goes 8-6 to Boston, even though Logan O'Hoppe, that stud, hits a game-tying grand slam to tie it at 5. Disappointing loss for them there. Rendon ends up getting his first hit since July 3rd as well. Game 2
of 2020.
Yeah, since July 3rd of 2023, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it's been quite a while.
Mm-hmm, yeah, that he gets a standing O for that. It has been a minute.
One of his teammates was still undrafted, Nolan Shanuel. He was still waiting to be drafted before his last hit.
Adolis Garcia hit 30 home runs since the last time that he got a hit in between that span. So, yeah, pretty mind-blowing.
This is a guy that has like a top 5 to 6 contract in baseball in terms of AAV.
It's actually good that you say that, because that is basically my point here that we will get to. Because Game 2 goes 2-1 to the Angels, and Game 3 goes 12-2 to the Red Sox in an absolute thrashing. That leaves the Red Sox at 7-3 and a game back of the Yankees, and the Angels 5-4 and only a game back of Texas. What I want to discuss with you is you could see the lack of help that Mike Trout is getting, even though he's still clearly producing at the MVP level we know him as.
He's already got 4 bombs.
A 976 OPS and 4 home runs to start the year. However, he only has 4 RBI on all those solo homers. I wanted to ask you, is this the year that we see Mike Trout moved from LA?
I don't think so. I don't think he wants to be moved. I think he's comfortable where he's at. His family's comfortable there. They're locked in for the long haul. I mean, this offseason, he said he's not really the kind of guy that's going to request a trade.
He has said, though, that if it's a thing that happens, he's open to it. So, yeah, it's not something he's going to request, but I wonder if it's something that would be a smart move from the Angels.
And like you said, they're only a game out of first place as of right now. So I know they're 5-4, but a game is a game.
Oh, certainly. It's not something they would do until probably July, if I had to guess, but we'll have to see how the Angels end up doing. I just see that Mike Trout is...
I don't see him ever being traded mid-season because of how difficult the trade's going to be.
That's for sure true.
I could say off-season maybe, but...
I'm wondering about even teams that would be willing to do it, and there's not many.
It's a short list.
Probably the Yankees, that nightmare scenario.
I don't think they can anymore, though.
Yeah, true.
Because they're going to have to re-sign so many people, too.
Mm-hmm.
They got to re-sign Soto. They got a bunch of pitchers that are bullpen arms that are going to be gone. I mean... I think Glaber's a free agent. They got a lot of guys that are going to be hitting the market.
There's the nightmare scenario of him going to the Dodgers. That would be a shame. I could see the Giants maybe doing something. A team I would really love to see him go to, but I'm not sure if they'd be willing to spend the money, is the NL champions. The Arizona Diamondbacks. If they would be willing to put him out there, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah, that would be a pretty good fit. Again, like you just said, I don't know if they're going to... not even just the money. I mean, it's going to be just a weird discussion because... You're either going to be taking a lot of the money and giving up less prospects, or you can give up higher prospects. See, if they offered Jordan Lawler for him plus more, maybe, but then the Angels are going to have to take salary back.
Yeah.
They're going to be paying Trout to not be there, so I don't know.
So in your opinion, he does not move this year?
No, I don't see him getting moved.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. It would be super exciting if he did, and it's a fun story to talk about the hypotheticals, but I don't see it as well because it's just so hard to make something like that happen.
Mid-season, I can't imagine it.
We've seen that the Angels owner doesn't want to, or the GM doesn't want to be that guy that trades Mike Trout, especially in the middle of a season.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically waving a white flag at 9 games or whenever you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're taking that guy off the team, that's a crusher to that locker room.
Yeah, but it really could be a franchise rebuilder with the pieces they get back.
Yeah, it'll always depend on what you get back, but I just don't think... I don't think there's enough time in the middle of the season with everybody focused on actually playing baseball games to formulate a trade for Mike Trout midseason.
Yeah, we'll have to keep our eye on Mike Trout and the Halos because they could squeeze with that expanded playoff.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of teams could. That extra spot in the playoffs is huge for a lot of teams on the cusp. Real quick before we move on to the next thing, though, I just wanted to shout out the Red Sox, man. They've only given up 15 earned runs in 10 games.
Best pitching in baseball right now.
That is ridiculous.
And a 7-3 record is unfortunate to not be in first place, man.
Yeah, well, you see they lose a game 2-1 here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've been really, really good. Their pitching staff gives up, like, basically nothing.
Yeah, winning franchise, that blueprint is still clearly there, and it's in effect to start the year here. They are 7-3.
Think about that. They've given up 15 earned runs all year so far in 10 games, and what'd you say, they gave up 6 runs that one game to the Angels?
Yeah, they ended up, and winning 8-6 in that game as well, yes.
Yeah, so even a game that they gave up a lot of runs, they won.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the Red Sox, I'd have them finishing kind of low down in the AL East.
Same here.
They might be a problem.
Yeah, I definitely think me, you, and a lot of people overlooked the Red Sox because they weren't really mentioned too much in many people's playoff brackets.
There will be natural regression. Like, they're going to start giving up more runs eventually.
You would think.
But, I mean, the first 10 games, their staff has looked fantastic.
Definitely
the best in the
true.
league.
Yep, shout out to them because that is my favorite game to watch. The next thing we will talk about is an NL-only series here. This is the Cubs taking on the Dodgers. They actually take 2 out of 3 from the mighty Dodgers here. They get an 8-1 win Sunday after a rain delay. That was kind of ugly. Imanaga, he ends up punching out Shohei Ohtani in their first meeting there in the first inning for the second out, and he goes 4 innings pitched, 2 hits, 3 Ks, and no runs to stay at 0 runs on the year, albeit just 10 innings pitched.
Yeah, he was rolling yesterday, though. 4 scoreless again. I mean, the rain killed him. It took him out of the game because it was like an hour and a half, 2-hour delay. You can't send him back out there. He only threw about 40-something pitches, so he really has looked fantastic for the Cubs in his first 2 starts.
It's super impressive for the Cubbies there to take 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers and stay. I think they're only 1 game out right now. The Dodgers are already 3 games up, man, so... I mean, that's a machine. Taking 2 out of 3 from them, that is definitely something to be proud of.
Yeah, very impressive for the Cubs to go and take 2 out of 3. They were playing in Wrigley, so it's home field, but I don't really know if that matters for the Dodgers that much.
Not really. And my question to you on this topic was, who do you think will be the best international signing of the offseason? Some options here are obviously Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Imanaga, Young-Hoo Lee, Matsui from San Diego, or maybe some other people.
I still am going to take Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I think his second start, he was a lot better. He went 5 scoreless. I think he's going to be fine. I mean, people were overreacting to his first start, 2 starts.
And spring training was a little bit rocky for him as well.
It's an adjustment, obviously, coming over from Japan, Korea, wherever, to the MLB. The hitters are just insanely different here.
Yeah, it's a different level for sure.
I think Yamamoto's going to be fine, but hey, man, you might have been right with Imanaga.
Yeah,
I mean, he looks awesome.
Obviously, I'm sticking with my guns. I already said it was going to be Imanaga. I said I think he's going to be our NL Rookie of the Year, and I still think that. So.
Jung-Ho Lee has also looked very good for the Giants.
Already got his first home run there, and we know he's a contact hitter, so we don't know how many of those he'll end up getting this year, but yep.
A lot of exciting international free agents that were signed this year. It's a good question. I'm still going to stick with Yamamoto, though. I think he's going to have a really good year.
Yeah, and I'll take Imanaga. I can't wait to see, hopefully sometime during the season, those guys match up.
Yeah, that would be cool if they lined up.
The next thing we'll talk about is some really good news for the Braves and some really bad news for the Braves at the same time. The Braves complete their sweep of the NL champion D-backs Sunday. Very impressive series for them, and they sit at 6-2. But the bad news is that Spencer Strider has an MRI Friday, or I guess he got it Saturday, after going 4 innings pitched, 7 hits, 3 walks, only 4 Ks, and 5 earned runs.
Velocity was down a lot.
Said he felt discomfort in that elbow, which is the last thing you want to hear for a flamethrower like him.
Especially one that's already had Tommy John once.
He gets that MRI over the weekend, and that shows damage to the UCL. He will now get a second opinion by the exact surgeon who did Sandy Alcantara's Tommy John surgery. Not a good sign at all as the pitcher injury epidemic continues. Yeah,
we saw other pitchers like Shane Bieber go down, Yuri Perez we just talked
Johnny
about.
Lasagna in the Yankees, right?
Yep.
What a shame, Lasagna.
There's been a lot of injuries, and I see people trying to blame the pitch clock. I think maybe the pitch clock has a little bit of a part to play in it. I think the biggest problem, and I saw Justin Verlander say it either last night or today, there's a lot of factors that go into it. I think the biggest factor is that everybody thinks they should be throwing 99 to 100, coupled with the fact that spin rate is so high. So they're flicking curveballs as hard as they can repeatedly, man. Your elbow's not built for that.
Not
like,
at all.
it's still a human elbow.
Yeah.
You can't just throw 99, 100, then snap off curveball after curveball for 7 innings.
If you watch those guys throw in slow motion, man, their elbows look like a
gross.
horror film.
Yeah, their arm is contorting in ways it should not, and they're doing it 70 to 80 times a game at that rate. I mean, that's if you're throwing like a changeup like 20% of the time.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
it
this
can't
guy,
be good.
Spencer Strider, is known for his phenomenal spin rate on his slider. How
and
do
he
you
added
think he gets that?
And he added a curveball. What do you think he's doing there?
Yeah, exactly.
And on top of that, he throws 99. I agree the pitching clock might be accelerating these injuries a little bit. It's not the reason.
No, the best breakdown I've seen so far about this was Chris Bassett, the former Met, talking about how it's really like the body is made to throw 91 to 93 consistently.
95 maximum.
It's like putting a massive V8 in a small Toyota. Eventually, the car is not going to be able to run properly anymore, and you're going to have to do some maintenance. That's what's happening here.
Yeah, I don't know why people are acting so surprised. It's always been like that. You're not going to see guys like, I use the example, Brent Suter. He's most likely not going to need Tommy John because he throws 85 to 88, and it's just not, he obviously...
If he ends up getting it, it'll probably be arm angle on him.
Obviously, he's a reliever, but like... I don't know, man. I think the biggest problem is people thinking that they need to throw as hard as possible, because I think it has to go with the fact that the hitters have become so damn good that the pitchers are just assuming that this is one of the only ways they can get guys out now.
Yeah, and we've seen that guys with higher ERAs but also higher velocity, if they have quote-unquote better stuff, will get the invites to major league camps over the guys with lower velocity and lower ERAs, which is what you think you would want on your team for the long haul.
Yeah, it makes more sense, but I think people need to take a step back, and the game needs to go back to like people focusing more on, like Clayton Kershaw.
Yep.
How many Tommy John surgeries has Clayton Kershaw had?
I don't think he ever did.
Never.
I never got one.
Because he throws a 92 to 95.
Always on the
control.
Corners. Hit your spots.
He's not overdoing it on the arm. I know he's had other injuries. His back is fucked up.
Of course, yeah.
His arm has really never been a problem for him in his Hall of Fame level career, and it's because of the way he throws, I think, mostly.
Yeah, definitely. Wishing the best to all of the injured pitchers out there.
Of course, you never
want
want
list keeps getting longer.
Yeah, you never want to see guys get hurt, especially Tommy John surgery, where it's like you could miss 15,
Year
16
and a half,
months.
yeah.
It's a brutal injury, but I think we just need to take a step back and think about what's really the problem here.
Definitely. That velocity is the problem. The next thing we will talk about is the Miami Marlins, who were facing off with the St. Louis Cardinals over the weekend. They end up dropping the first two of that series, and they are 0-9. That is the first in MLB since the 2016 Twins. They finally get a win in game number 10 on Sunday at St. Louis. They put up a 6 spot in the first and another one in the second, and they never look back. They end up taking that game 10-3 in pretty dominant fashion.
Yeah, and it was pretty funny to see the baseball gods were trying to hold off the Marlins' first win as long as possible. It was the bottom of the ninth inning. They needed 3 outs, and they go into a rain delay.
Yeah, brutal. Big, too.
Unbelievable. They're up 10-1. They just need 3 outs to finish and get off the 9-game losing streak to start the year, and the rain comes through, and they got to wait for it. But they do still get it, albeit they do give up 2 runs in that ninth because of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they'll take the 10-3 win, and they'll get their first win in the column, and they're going to move on to today.
Still super early in the season. They are 1-9. They have to begin the clawback from an early deficit.
That's a rough hole to get out of.
I also wanted to bring your attention to their schedule, because not many people look forward to that. They kind of think, oh, who are we playing next? Check this out. Now they go and they face the Yankees in a 3-game. Then they go home to face Atlanta in a 3-game. Then San Francisco in a 3-game at home. Then they go on the road to Wrigley for Chicago, the Cubs, for a 4-game, and another Atlanta 3-game before they finally get some reprieve and play the Nationals and Rockies and A's.
Now, why the hell would the MLB do that to them?
Those are straight up. I had all of those teams being severely competitive this season, and that's rough.
The only team that you and I hadn't picked to make the playoffs out of those teams was the New York Yankees, and they're 8-2 in their first 10.
That's a bubble team anyway you slice it too.
Yeah, so good luck to the Miami Marlins. It's nice for them to get their first win, but it could get ugly.
You're looking at the schedule and you're like, what? Did they expect them to dominate Pittsburgh and the Angels and St. Louis, and then what? You're going to set them up for failure by playing a whole month of playoff teams?
Yeah, and then they end up getting 4 games swept by the Pirates, and it's just...
Should be a nice little breather when they get to play Washington, Colorado, and Oakland in 3 straight sets.
Yeah, what could their record be by then, though?
Exactly.
They're already 1-9.
Not to mention, after that, they face the Dodgers and the Philadelphia Phillies after that.
That's rough.
It is a rough scheduling. Maybe they'll have a soft back end.
You know what it is? They made the playoffs.
Yeah, and
that's what you get.
You do get punished for that. And starting 0-9 after making the playoffs, yeah, that might be a death sentence.
Yeah.
What I wanted to ask you is, looking at the rest of that schedule of April, can they make it back to the postseason this year?
It's tough to say in April. I mean, that schedule is brutal. We'll see how they go among they go about that next 2 to 3 weeks here. But no, I don't. I didn't have the Marlins making the playoffs originally. I think that. I mean, they had a great year last year, but they don't have much pitching. They're still waiting on like 3 starters to come back, and 2 of them are not coming back. Yeah. Alcantara and Perez are not coming back.
No.
So there's not really there's much help coming for them in the pitching department. Yeah, it really just seems like it's shaping up to be a super unfortunate year for the Marlins.
Once they started 0-9, I was like, all right, calm down, because it is early in the year.
But then you look into it.
You get a 3-week block of just absolute battles. I mean, I guess they won't have to face Spencer Strider or a Garrett Cole in that span.
I don't know if that matters.
Yeah, they won't get Garrett Cole or Spencer Strider from the Yankees or the Braves in that span, but they probably will end up seeing a new Giant, Blake Snow.
Yeah. Oh, well, he's supposed to start today, I believe, for the Giants.
He's supposed to make his debut today for the Giants. Should be a lot of fun to watch him.
Yeah, I mean, and then speaking of debut, we got Sonny Gray, who's supposed to come off the IL and make his debut for the Cardinals tomorrow.
It's a funny situation, considering all the injuries that go around. Have you heard what actually happened? He was supposed to make a rehab start, and he pleaded with them
to not let him get in?
Yeah, to just make his debut on Tuesday. He will make his first Cardinal start versus Zach Wheeler and the Phillies on Tuesday, but he will have a 65-pitch limit.
Yeah, it makes sense, because he did have pretty much a full spring training. His hamstring tightened up on him toward the end of it. But, a guy like that, he's like, it's his leg that's injured, not his arm. Right. He knows his arm is good to go. He still pitched a decent amount in spring training.
Hey, man, pitchers need that push leg, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, but they wouldn't be sending him out there if he wasn't good to go.
That's exactly what the manager said. He made sure to say, if Sonny Gray sits me down, the ace of my squad, and he tells me that he's 100%, I'm going to trust him.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be fine. It's smart to keep him on a 65-pitch limit for his first start for sure, and then we'll let him go probably after that, but it'll be nice to see Sonny Gray back. I mean, the Cardinals, they're above 500 right now. Everybody in the Central is above 500 in the NL.
It's a tough first start. Oh, I believe they're actually 500, aren't they? 5-5.
They might have. Yeah, that might have been before they lost yesterday.
Regardless, that is a tough first start against who I have winning the NL Cy Young and Zach Wheeler and the Phillies, who have been, for a while now, a solid team.
Very tough team, yeah.
And the last thing we'll talk about here is some more disappointing news, injury-based as well. 3-time All-Star and 2019 World Series MVP Steven Strasburg, whose pitching career was derailed by injuries, has officially retired from baseball at the age of 35.
Yeah, I think, honestly, he earned this. I mean, they did give him a massive contract, and he didn't pitch much after giving him the massive contract, but he did deliver them their first and only World Series championship. He was the MVP of that World Series. We can't forget how good he was just 5 years ago. Yeah, I mean, congratulations, honestly. That's all I could really say. From a former first-round pick all the way to winning the World Series and being an MVP, hats off.
It is a shame throughout his entire career he always dealt with those elbow injuries, and the last straw that broke the camel's back, man, this one is brutal. He had surgery for thoracic outlet syndrome. Did you actually realize how brutal this surgery is?
It's like the second worst arm injury for a pitcher.
They remove 2 neck muscles and your first rib.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's the same thing that happened to Matt Harvey.
They remove your first rib and 2 neck muscles? That's insane. To alleviate pressure on you?
And who came up with that originally?
And then you get back to throwing after?
He didn't.
But Matt Harvey ended up making the lead.
Not many people come back at full strength from thoracic outlet.
I don't think anyone comes back at full strength.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, especially after, Strasburg had already had Tommy John as well.
That is the most brutal surgery I've ever heard in sports. To have to get that from playing a sport is crazy. Your rib is gone. That is insane.
Yeah, it is. It is a very rough injury. It's like one of the newer ones that's really.
It probably is that high velocity and twist.
It seems like they have figured out a surgery for Tommy John, and then here comes this new injury that's like, what the hell?
Brutal. Strasburg threw only 528 pitches in the majors since signing his $245 million 7-year contract in December of 2019, and he didn't report to spring training in 2023 or 24.
Yeah, even though the Nationals were asking him to. I do have a little bit of a problem with that, because, like, you can show up to spring training to give your knowledge to the team at least, and then go home after, and then they're not asking you to pitch on opening day, bro. Like,
you would think
you're making $250 million almost. You could show up and give a little wisdom here and there.
Yeah, not for nothing. He did not show up in the last 2 years, and this will put a cap on what was a very good career.
Yeah, very weird career. Like you said, he was always dealing with something for like most of his career. But when he was healthy, we saw it in 2019, he was the anchor of that team.
Steven Strasburg, we wish you the best.
Congratulations on retirement.
Thank you to everybody for listening wherever you do. That was episode 90 of the 9 Frames podcast, and it is Monday, April 8th, 2024. I've been Bill Whalen.
And I've been Mike Whalen.
Be sure to catch us, as always, on YouTube at 9 Frames Podcast. Our Spotify is 9 Frames, and our X is at 9 Frames Pod. Please follow us on there, subscribe, like, comment, and share if you enjoy the show.
Yeah, and like I say every time, we appreciate it as always, and we're going to keep rolling on. We'll be back on Wednesday with another update video from around the league, and exciting times.
It's unfortunate that we had to talk about so many injuries this episode, and hopefully we have nothing to say on that front next time we talk to you guys. There was some fun baseball to happen, and there is going to be a lot more fun baseball. I know we're locked in on the 4-game series between the Mets and the Braves. That should be a tough one for the Mets as they try to get on track.
Yeah, Julio Teheran making his Mets debut tonight. Should be interesting.
Yeah, lock in and enjoy your week.